Good afternoon. The Senate Transportation Committee will come to order. Clerk, would you open the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Who's covering for me? Mr. Chair, you have a quorum? It's on. It's on.
She's here.
She's here.
She's recorded.
She's recording.
All right. Welcome to the first meeting after crossover to the Senate Transportation Committee meeting. The first thing we'd like to do here is we have a number of identical bills. Clerk, could you report the identical bills to those which were voted on also by members of the Senate, and then I'll take a motion to move those in a block. Just read the numbers of the bills.
Mr. Chairman, HB 1494 is identical to SB 1318. HB 1495 is identical to SB 1216.
Mr. Chairman, can that one come out of the block?
All right. Is there anyone who would like to remove a bill from the block?
Mr. Chairman, Servo.
Yes.
Are all these ones you got in the block, are these ones that passed unanimously? Because I know 1495 was not unanimous, and so I'm just, the ones that are unanimous.
I think someone wants to take that out of the block to vote.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Servo.
Thank you. I mean, the other committee I was on earlier, they had indications on here where there were no votes, so we knew which ones were unanimous that went out and we didn't. So I guess.
I believe, is this the only bill that was not unanimous? 1495?
2014.
Excuse me.
Just doing individual? Just doing individual?
Yeah, we want to do those. If people want to take it out of the block.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Newman.
Mr. Chairman, could we take 1495, 1932, 2014, and 2338 out of the block? It's my understanding that those are the ones that there had yeses and nos on.
Okay, we can certainly
Mr.
do
Chairman.
that. We'll take those out of the block and vote on them separately. Senator Servo.
Thank you. House Bill 2395 was referred to the Judiciary Committee where it did not report, so that needs to come out of the block as well.
Okay, 23 next. So we have 5 bills out of the block: 1495, 1932, 2014, 2338, 2395. Is there anything left in the block? Clerk, could you report what's still remaining in the block?
Mr. Chairman, 1494, 1619, 1620, 2247, and 2381.
Oh, okay. Could we have a motion to pass the bills in the block? Have a first and a second. Clerk, would you open the roll?
1 second, if you don't mind, sir. Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. The bills in the block report. And now let's take them up in order. I have told many of the delegates that their attendance would not be required. So let's take up HB 1495, Senator Austin's bill. Do we have a motion?
Can I ask a question before we move on? And I'm truly confused about this. And maybe counsel or chair could answer me. It looks like from the description that part of this is identical to my bill, which was kind of a technical fix, conforming the minimum limits to the minimum limits set forth by code for personal vehicles, but then it's got it says that it's identical to Senator Lucas's, which reduced the uninsured motorist coverage from $1 million to $250,000. I'm confused as to which this is identical to.
I think it reduced.
Okay, how about Senator Obenshain, we take that by for the week? And
I don't want to take it by if my question can be cleared up. I just want to know how to vote on it.
all right, do we have someone here who can address that, Nicole?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Nicole Brenner with Reed Smith. Senator Obenshain, you have Senate Bill 1238, which amends 46.2, 2143.1, which deals with property carriers and the level of insurance required by property carriers and brings those up to the minimum limits. That section is not amended in this bill, which has to do with motor carriers. One has property, one has people.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah.
All right. Senator Obenshain? Are you good? Okay. Second. So Senate Bill HB 1495 is before us. Would you open the roll, please?
Ayes 11, noes 4.
Ayes 11, noes 4. The bill reports. Next, we have HB 1932, Delegate Runyon's bill. Do I have a motion on Delegate Runyon's bill? Do you have a motion? We have a motion to report and a second. All in favor? Say aye, or report your vote aye. Opposed, no.
Ayes 12, noes 3.
Ayes 12, noes 3. Bill reports. Next, we have Senate Bill 2014, House Bill 2014. Do I have a motion on 2014?
I move that we report 2014.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second to report HB 2014. Would you open the roll, please? All right. And next.
Ayes 11, noes 4.
Ayes 11, noes 4. The bill reports. Next, we have House Bill 2338. Do we have a motion on 2338?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to report House Bill 23 and refer to finance. Is that the motion?
Yes.
And the second? All right. House Bill 2338 is moved to report and refer to finance. Open the roll. And lastly.
Ayes 6, noes 8. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Senator?
Ayes 8, noes 6.
No 7.
No 7. Ayes 8, no 7. The bill reports. And I believe we have 2395 that was passed out of this committee.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Servo.
this bill was reported out of this committee, went to the floor, and then got referred back to the Judiciary Committee. So I don't know if you want to take a motion to report or a motion to refer, but it's going to go to Judiciary one way or the other.
I think we probably ought to be consistent and refer it to Judiciary. Could I take a motion on that?
So it would be report and refer
Report
to
and
Judiciary?
refer to Judiciary.
Okay. Okay,
Just
Mr. Chairman,
refer.
I move to refer to Judiciary.
What's that?
I move to refer it to Judiciary then.
Okay, just let's refer it to Judiciary. We have a first and a second to refer 2395 to Judiciary. Open the roll, please. All right. So we have.
Ayes
dealt with-
13, noes 2.
Okay, ayes 13, noes 2. The bill is referred to Judiciary. We have now some bills that are not identical but very similar, and I've spoken with Delegate Bloxham, who would like to conform his bill to Senator Hanger's. Do you have the number on that, Senator Hanger's bill?
1057.
1057. Senate Bill 1057. So do we have a motion? We have a motion and a second to conform Senator Bloxham's 1806 to Senator Hanger's bill. All in, would you open the roll? Excuse me. What's that? Oh, it's a voice vote? Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Voice vote. Motion is to report and refer to finance. Could you open the roll? All right.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 13, no zero. The bill is reported and referred to finance. Next, we have House Bill 1995, and I believe what we need to do here is to conform that to Senator Cosgrove's bill, and they're going to work some of this out in conference.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion. Do we have a second to conform to?
Second.
Motion to second to reform. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. All right. We have a motion to report as amended. All in favor, say aye.
That's on the board.
Excuse me, on the board. Okay. All right.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 13, no zero. That bill is reported with the substitute. House Bill 2080, I believe there's a peace in the valley on this between Senator Vogel's bill and Senator Murphy's. And Senator Murphy's bill has been the agreed-upon vehicle for this special license plate for women veterans.
Mr. Chairman,
could I have a...
Mr. Chairman, before you do.
Wait.
Mr. Chairman, before you do. Have we had an agreement from the House that they would conform Senator Vogel's
Yes.
bill? Okay, thank you.
Yes, I've talked to Delegate Murphy. She was here, and so hers will be the vehicle that will move forward, and Senator Vogel is fine with that. So could I have a motion on HB 2080? We have a motion and a second to report House Bill 2080, Delegate Murphy's bill. Would you open the roll, please? All right.
Senator Sproul. Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. The bill reports. Our next block deals with bills that were passed in the House uncontested, and I believe we have, let's see, we have a sign-up sheet here. Let me see, Delegate Adams, you're in Block 4. We were going to deal with Block 3. Is Delegate Greenhall, Delegate Waxman here? Delegate Waxman? Oh, is Greenhall here? Oh, I'm sorry, she was first up. I'm sorry. We have Delegate Greenhall? Okay.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman, members. Thank
morning.
you so much.
Tell us about House Bill 1376.
Yes, sir. So this removes the prohibition on using flashing amber lights on vehicles that are moving when they are operated by federally licensed amateur radio operators only in certain situations. It's when they are working with local, state, or federal in a disaster type situation. So if I could explain, across Virginia, ham operators volunteer to serve their communities. They get together every year and simulate a national disaster so that they can practice how they can step in and be a communication system for our first responders. And they also volunteer to help police in community events. For instance, in Virginia Beach, we have this Shamrock Marathon coming up, and we expect 60 volunteer ham radio operators to assist the police. So if they're allowed to use their flashing yellow lights while they're moving, it will indicate that the vehicle is permitted on the course and will be safer for participants and pedestrians. So this, and just to clarify, this bill only gives them permission to use their flashing lights while they are working with state, federal, or local authorities. There's no state or local impact. This is totally volunteer, and it's simply helping them to help our police officers better. One senator I spoke with thought that the state police was against this. I checked with the state police. First Sergeant Daniel Wilson of the Virginia State Police told me very clearly the department does not have a position on this bill.
Thank you, Delegate Greenhall. Are there any
Thank you.
questions from the committee of Delegate
Mr. Chairman?
Greenhall? Yes, Senator Cosgrove.
Delegate, thank you. We have our own outranking your expert. Major Maxey.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, Ron Maxey, Virginia State Police. And she's correct. We have no concerns with this bill.
We just like hearing from you.
Yeah, there you go.
I was very upset I didn't get to come talk to y'all.
So thank you so much. Is there anyone in the audience, anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of the bill? Please, sir, come forward.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Keith Howell. I am a volunteer amateur radio operator, and Delegate Greenhall's bill I'm pretty much familiar and a participant, in most all of these events. One of the other reasons for having the amber light while we're moving is if we're short any volunteers like the 60 that she's talking about. Sometimes what we have to do is we'll have to move one of our volunteers, which these guys work out of their cars most of the time. They usually pull up on the course someplace out of the way. We monitor the runners for their safety. If somebody gets hurt, somebody has chest pains, any of those type of things. Our net control guy knows where we are. And the other reason too is if we're short, we might have to have a guy after the runners pass mile markers 1, 2, 3, or 4, or something like that. Those markers are secured and they can be moved to another position that's not filled. So in that event, with the flashing amber lights, that means that the driver, he has to get onto the course along with the runners so that he can get to the next post or to fill whatever that position is. And the flashing amber light pretty much draws attention to him so that he can be seen and move into the next position. So this in no way allows a federally licensed ham to, ride around through town with an amber light on his car just because he's a ham radio operator. These are only in these specific situations, whether called upon by the state or local government to assist in disasters or whatever, just may make life easier for all.
Well, that is great, and thank you very much for the work that you do on behalf of all of us. It's truly, truly appreciated, and you never know when an emergency is going to come.
No,
there you go. Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of the bill? Anyone in the virtual world who would like to weigh in?
Mr. Chairman, we're no longer taking testimony on Zoom.
Hooray. Okay, we have a motion to report and a second. Would you open the roll?
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. Bill
Mr.
reports.
Chair.
Delegate Waxman.
Mr. Chair,
Oh.
before you do that, having voted on the prevailing side by which we reported House Bill 1995, I move that we reconsider that vote. That is
All
the school bus bill.
And I think Delegate Krizak is coming.
I believe Delegate Krizak wanted to make a case for not conforming
That's right.
and is on his way.
I thought that would have been worked out. Okay. Very good. So we have a motion that, having voted on the prevailing side, we want to reconsider this vote. Vote aye if you wish to reconsider, nay if you don't. Okay, the vote is
Ayes 14, no zero.
reconsidered. And Delegate Waxman, if I could have you just hold 1 second, and we'll just finish this matter while we're on it, and then I'll get you up next. Delegate Krizak, tell us why you don't want to conform to Senator Cosgrove's bill.
Mr. Chairman, to tell you the truth, I don't know anything about Senator Cosgrove's bill, but I would like my bill to keep flying through here, if you don't mind. It's because...
Well,
is that the wrong,
we'll
is
see
that
if
the
it has
wrong
a
answer?
pilot's license. So,
So all mine does is it's very simple. It just makes it 30 days so that when people are passing school buses, they're not getting away with no ticket because the period of time is too short right now for folks to get the tickets out. That's really all it does. Nothing changes except for that. And if you don't like 30, you can make it 20. But it
Okay.
needs to be more than 10.
Mr. Chairman.
Questions? Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you. Yes, I agree with the 30 days on my bill. My bill had some other language in it dealing with reportability. Basically, some folks in the insurance industry don't like that because basically their premiums won't be able to go up because it won't be a reported issue. I carried the first photo red bill in the General Assembly that ever got out of here. And the reasoning behind that was because it was not going to be a reportable incident to DMV or whatever. The language in my bill has the same tone as the original red light bill. In addition, DMV needs to have a couple of amendments done to this, so I would really like to conform Delegate Krizak's bill to mine, and then we'll work it out in conference.
Is that acceptable, Delegate Krizak?
We'll defer to the body here. I mean, I would prefer not to, but he's been working on this for many years. I was just trying to do a simple. There's nothing else in this except for changing 10 to 30 and making it business days.
Well, let's get them to match up. So we're reconsidering here. So anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Delegate Krizak's or comment on Delegate Krizak's bill?
Mr. Chairman, I actually have a question for my colleague, Senator Cosgrove.
Sure. Okay, Senator Favola.
Okay, so I guess the issue is whether there's still outstanding issues with the stakeholders or with VDOT on your bill, Senator Cosgrove, because I don't want to deprive Delegate Krizak of having a clean bill that is actually workable and could be easily passed and implemented, because we're sort of looking for a bigger win. But if there's still some loose ends, you may not be able to work them out between now and the end. So please tell me. I don't think Delegate Krizak would be opposed to having a conference committee either, as long as the issues can be worked out.
Mr. Chairman, I'd tell Senator Favola we can work this out. It does need some work. There are some additional amendments that DMV is asking for in this as well.
And Senator Cosgrove, you're saying that if we conform his to your bill, when your bill is heard in the House, that those amendments can be put on, and then we can deal with that in conference. So I think we're back to where we were. Do we have a motion to conform?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Servo.
Senator Servo.
I mean, they seem to me to be completely different bills. Krizak's just changed it from 10 to 30. The Cosgrove bill takes the reportability of this completely out of the DMV transcript, which affects people's points. And that's a whole different policy issue than this bill is even trying to address. And so while they're in the same statute, it's not clear to me why they're tied together, right? And so I'm not understanding why we need to conform them.
Okay, Senator Cosgrove.
Well, I would say to Senator Servo that basically we talked about this here in Senate Transportation. Basically, they are really hitting the same issue. The same issue is this. When you pass a school bus and it takes a picture of you, under the current code, you have 14 days to pay that fine. It's not enough time because weekends can be in there, holidays can be in there, et cetera. So the idea of the bill is to take it to 30 days. When I got photo red passed, the agreement between the House and the Senate and all involved was that it was not a reportable incident. That means that if it's a civil infraction, you are sent a notice just like you do if you run a red light. This would put it in the same status as that. So basically, if this bill is to pass just as it is, it would still be in conflict with the original intent of photo red. So putting it into conference is not going to hurt anything. We'll get the bill out.
And that would undoubtedly report out in both bodies. So,
Mr. Chairman.
Who's that? Senator Servo?
Yep. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate what Senator Cosgrove said, but this isn't about photo red, it's about school buses. And I think the school buses presents a materially different situation when you have children walking around a school bus than you do with red lights. And I think that's probably why there's a different treatment in the code. And that, whether we align them or not, it's a policy issue, but that's what Senator Cosgrove's bill is attempting to do, is to make them the same. Delegate Krizek's bill is just changing this 10 to 30, and that's it within the school bus statute. So
Okay.
to me, they're very different.
Senator Favola.
Mr. Chairman, I think that there is a pathway forward for both bills. I had a very similar situation as chair of rehab, and I allowed both bills to go. And at the end of the day, the governor ended up taking parts of one bill and putting it into the second, but it happened at the governor's level. But it was a very similar situation. And I think to ensure that we do have a clean bill, I would be inclined to move that we report Delegate Krizek's bill.
All right.
In fact, I'll make that motion.
Mr. Chairman.
But wait.
Hold on one.
Staff. Yeah, we have to.
All right, Mr. Chair.
We have to have a reconsideration of the vote we made. The sub.
Okay.
No, we didn't.
Have a motion. Do we have a second to reconsider the vote by which we passed the substitute?
Mr. Chairman,
So moved.
I think now's the time for debate or discussion, because we had, if I may, Mr. Chairman, we had pretty thorough debate on this, and one of the reasons I agreed to Senator Cosgrove's bill, which extended it 30 days for them to write the violation, which really turned into almost 40 days when you look at weekends, was because it gave the companies the time to do that. With 10 days, which turns into 12, I understand it completely. But with his, I was okay with extending it if we also made sure that it didn't affect that individual's insurance. We specifically went in and changed it so it did not affect that individual's insurance. At that point, I was good with it. Now, if we're going to change the policy on that and say, okay, we're just going to change from 10 to 30 days, which really is 40, we're giving a company 40 days to get a violation out to somebody, and then it's going to affect the record. Well, I don't know about you, but I can't remember 40 days ago where I was driving and exactly where I was, where I can 10 or 12. So I think we've got to figure out what we're doing here, because if we conform it, then we're keeping in line with the discussion as we looked at this holistically as the full concept and the policy. If we're going to separate and bifurcate that, then we need to have a different conversation and reopen the whole thing.
Well, my preference would be to conform and allow this to go to.
Mr. Chairman?
Me too.
May I speak to it? I mean, you can pass both of these bills as they are, or you could amend mine down to 14 days if you wanted with business days, 14 business days, which I think would be is a reasonable middle ground for you. And there's no conflict doing both of them. So I see no reason to muddy the waters with conforming them. Just send mine through, and if you want to make it 14 days, then that's fine.
Senator Cosgrove.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, this is highly irregular. Normally it's the courtesy to conform the two bills and put them together, work it out in conference, and have one bill. Sending out two bills is duplicative. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, I believe we have to deal with the amendment, which we're having a vote on reconsideration of the amendment. We have a first. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator.
So what are we
Rule.
voting on? What are we voting on now?
Reconsidering conforming.
We're voting on the amendment. We're back to the original.
No, we are
Back.
voting to reconsider conforming.
Yes. Correct.
Yes.
Okay, this is a vote to reconsider conforming, and then we'll take another motion. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Let's have a recorded vote.
Come on.
Ayes 14, no zero, abstentions 1.
Ayes 14, no zeros. We're now back to Back to Delegate Krizak's bill.
Mr. Chair, I move that we report House Bill 1995.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, substitute motion.
Substitute, we have a substitute motion to the motion to report the bill. Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you. The substitute motion would be to conform this bill to my bill conform it to my bill.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second to conform Delegate Krizak's bill to Senator Cosgrove's bill, and we're on the board with that? Is that a voice vote? Okay. All in favor of conforming, of the substitute motion to conform, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Chair's in doubt to have a recorded vote.
Ayes 8, no 6, abstentions 1.
Ayes 8, no 6, abstentions 1. The bill is conformed to Senator Cosgrove's bill, and we'll work this out as best you can in conference. So let's have a motion on the bill. Have a motion and a second to report the bill. All in favor, say aye on the board. Those opposed, nay.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Thank you, Delegate Krizak.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Cosgrove.
Interesting parliamentary exercise. So, Delegate Waxman, been waiting patiently. Thank you, sir. Please come forward and tell us about HB 1712.
Okay, I've actually got two as well, too.
Two? And what is your other one?
1457.
1457, whichever one first.
Well, let's go in order. 1457, if that's
So
all right.
1457.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Delegate Waxman.
Members of the committee, it's my pleasure to present House Bill 1457. This merely adds the town of Stony Creek to the list of those towns that do not have a police department that can use golf carts in their city limits. It's been approved by the sheriff in the town. Stony Creek's about an hour south of here. Very small town, has less than 180 people in it. In 2018, the town actually adopted an ordinance, got people to get golf cart permits that had insurance, followed the ordinance. It wasn't until last year when I informed the mayor that they were missing this exemption in state code to allow them to actually do this. So I'm trying to correct that situation with the town so they can legally continue on with the ordinance.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, question.
I have a question from Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you. What is the speed limit in the town?
There's one street that's 35, and I think that the current rules say that they can't go on streets more than 35 or higher,
right,
except if the 35-mile street is so long, I think they are allowed to cross it.
That's correct.
And I've made the town aware of that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Other questions from the committee?
Mr. Chair.
Senator Peake.
More importantly, where is the town of Stony Creek?
Right down I-95, it's an hour from here. It's right where Route 40 and I-95 cross.
In Sussex.
In Sussex County.
Thanks, that's what I need to know.
Thank you so much. It is
good report.
We have a motion to report in a second, but it's always been my fear that somebody would come up here one day and invent a town and it would get into the code. But we'll take your word for it that this does indeed exist. So we have a motion. Well, let me first ask if there's anyone in the audience who wants to speak in favor of the bill.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Spruill.
Where is Sussex?
What is Sussex? I like to say that back home we say that Stony Creek's not the end of the world, but you can see it from there. If you leave here, Sussex is right between Petersburg and the North Carolina line. It's right on mile marker, say 30.
Thank you.
That's very precise. Thank you very much. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in opposition?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Senator.
and that's in the 4th Congressional District, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, ma'am.
Move to report.
All right. We have a second motion to report, and you'll probably get federal attention on this one at some point. But at any rate, we have a motion and a second to report Senate Bill 1457. Could we open the roll? All right.
Ayes 14, noes 1. Your vote will be noted, Senator.
Ayes 14, noes 1.
Ayes 15, sir.
Bill reports.
Ayes 15.
15, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr.
We had a
Chair.
change of heart there. Thank
Well, actually, it was Mr. Chair, it was the machine.
Uh-huh.
The machine.
Machine error?
Yeah, the Chinese are watching.
So the ref has pulled back the penalty flag? Is that?
TikTok, Mr.
Oh, okay.
We're not going to
Very
get into any
good.
voter integrity issues here, are we?
Yeah, here we go. 15, nothing, the bill reports. Your next bill is?
The next one is House Bill 1712. This was a concept that came to me from our logging industry. Our part of the state is known as the wood basket of Virginia, and loggers have these regulations, as well as some other industries too, that they have to put up certain signs, such as trucks entering highway, loggers entering highway, that these signs have to conform to a very stringent standard. Because of that, these signs are very expensive. If a state inspector comes by to inspect the logging operations and these signs have been stolen, that logging outfit is subject to some pretty heavy fines, which is sort of difficult when they may not have known that the sign was stolen. Was trying to give them some relief, and what we came up with, putting the penalties for damaging, destroying, stealing these signs into the same section of the code that state maintained signs are. It basically says if the state regulates that an industry has to put a sign there, that sign gets the same privilege of penalties as if it was a state sign that was stolen.
All right. Questions from the committee? Anyone here to speak in favor of the bill?
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Ron Jenkins. I represent Virginia Logging, or Loggers Association, and we appreciate that Delegate Waxman brought this important bill to us. Many of our businesses have been subject to those thefts. Thank you. We hope you'll move it forward.
Mr. Chairman, before he leaves me,
Senator Cosgrove.
And I think this is on behalf of Senator Suderline and myself. What is the value of those signs? What do they cost?
Well, I'm going to give you an estimate range, if I may.
Yeah.
They're between $400 and $500 each. There are two that are required on every temporary logging road, every time while they're doing the logging.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, thank you.
All right, next.
Mr. Chairman, Corey Connors of the Virginia Forestry Association. We align with the comments of Mr. Jenkins and support the bill.
Thank you very much. Anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to report the bill. Would you open the roll, please?
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. The bill reports. Thank you, Delegate Waxman.
Thank you so much.
Next, I believe we have Delegate Runyon. Are you here? I think I told him he had signed up, but his matter, I believe, has been dealt with. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, thank you. Next, we have Delegate Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. There is a substitute.
We have a motion and a second on the substitute. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The bill as substituted, the substitute is before us.
The substitute addresses concerns from the Attorney General's office after it left the floor that the 24-hour property retrieval period specified in the previous bill language was stricter than existing language under Virginia Code section dealing with the lien requirements for keepers of vehicles. It removes that 24-hour limit and conforms to the time limit protections already in the code. The bill itself seeks to clarify that preventing owners access or retrieval of the personal property from a towed vehicle is prohibited by the towing and recovery operators. The bill came from a constituent who attempted to retrieve an EpiPen from their towed vehicle. The facility refused, adamant that she pay in order to release the vehicle to recover her personal items. The current Virginia Code language has protections for personal item recovery from vehicles stored by keepers of the vehicles, but these protections are both unclear and largely unknown. Further, only the Office of the Attorney General can pursue legal action against the violators of this code. Thus, this bill seeks classifies these existing protections as prohibited practices for tow truck companies and will allow for private individuals to pursue legal action against the towing and recovery operators that are in violation of the code. So I hope it would be the will of the committee to vote yes for this bill.
All right. Yes, who's that?
Mr. Chair, Pete.
Senator Peake.
I have sympathy for this. Is 24 hours enough? Have you considered one day they get your car, you might not even notify they could be closed. Could we go to 48 hours?
Mr.
What's
Chair.
the issue?
Actually, we didn't have the 24 hours in the original bill, and then it was placed in, but what the substitute is removes that 24 hours.
So
is to remove the 24 hours so that as long as the vehicle's in possession, you can get your...
Right, as long as it conforms to the existing time limits in the code.
Okay.
What are these? So they'll have more time.
Senator Peake.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Rouse.
Thank you. I would just like to speak in support of this bill. Being a senator from the city of Virginia Beach, we have a lot of military men and women who oftentimes are unfamiliar with parking at the ocean front, the surrounding areas, who cars get towed as well. I think this offers them the opportunity, as well as visitors to our city, the opportunity to retrieve much needed ID, insurance cards, so that they can be able to get their cars out of their vehicles out as well. So thank you, Senator Adams, for bringing this forward.
Okay.
Delegate Adams.
Other questions?
Mr. Chair.
Motion to...
I had a quick question.
Senator Staff.
We're referring back to the time period in the existing code. I'm trying to find the time period in the existing code. I assume we're talking about 46-2-1209.
Yeah, the House substitute inserted 24 hours. This new substitute
takes it out. Yeah. But we said we were deferring back to the underlying code section, which I assume is 46-2-1209. So I'm trying to figure out what is the underlying?
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Dave Irvin with the Attorney General's Office. I believe the answer to the question is 46.2-644.01E, and that basically gives a consumer the right to retrieve their personal property that's in the, I think it's called the keeper of the vehicles or the towing and recovery operator, up until the time 2 days before an auction date. So it's much longer than 1 day.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Favola.
I believe there was a motion. I think this is a consumer protection bill, and if there was a motion, I'm happy to second that.
I did move to report the substitute.
I'm sorry?
I moved to report the substitute.
We moved to report the substitute. So.
Second on that one.
Okay. All in favor of the substitute, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The substitute is before us.
Move to report as amended.
And we have a motion to report as the substitute as.
Motion to report the substitute.
As agreed to.
Mr. Chairman, Servo.
Senator Servo.
I'm sorry, I had a quick question for council. What is the enforcement mechanism for violating this new language? Is it? What would the consumer do if it's violated? They have to go swear out a warrant. They got to go to the dealer board and get their towing license revoked, or do they have a civil cause of action?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Serval, they would go through the Attorney General's office, I believe.
Okay, so if they don't get their EpiPen, they got to call the Attorney General? Okay, thank you. I'll talk to Delegate Adams about that later. Thanks.
All right. We have a motion. Well, first off, anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of the bill?
Jay Spear of the Virginia Poverty Law Center, and we support the bill, and I don't want to stop the train.
Okay, thank you. Anyone here in opposition to the bill? All right, the bill is before us. I believe we have a first and a second. So, clerk, would you open the roll?
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Thank you,
Bill
Mr. Chair,
reports.
members of the committee.
Thank you. Delegate Bulova.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon. What do we got here?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is House Bill 2340. And so what this deals with is the problem of people who move to Virginia from out of state, and then they garage their vehicles in Virginia, but the owner actually fails to go ahead and properly license and register their vehicle. And so this is usually done to avoid taxes, and as a consequence, that means the rest of us Virginians have to go ahead and pick up the slack. So it is a problem throughout Virginia, particularly acute in border localities. So I can personally attest to how frustrating it is when you've got somebody who moves into the neighborhood from Maryland, and then they don't bother to go ahead and change their Maryland tags. And I know other legislators from other parts of the state, so if you're bordering Tennessee or Kentucky or North Carolina, experience the same kind of problems. The code does provide for tools for localities to be able to ensure that they deal with these kind of situations. So nothing in this bill alters that. However, the penalties for failure to register a vehicle haven't been adjusted since 2013. So what this bill does is simply increase those penalties to keep up with inflation and make sure that this continues to be a relevant deterrent. So, Mr. Chairman, that's what the bill does.
Delegate Bulova, Maryland's nickname is the Free State. Are they attempting to get free registration here in the Commonwealth?
I think you've hit on it. Yeah, exactly.
Aha, there we go. This is a huge problem, especially in a metropolitan area like the District, Maryland, and Virginia. People move across and don't make the change. Very good. Anyone have a question on the committee of
Mr.
this
Chairman.
increase? Yes, Senator DeStefano.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Bulova. So my concern here is that if I moved from Maryland and I'm primarily residing in Virginia more than 181 days, I can just pay $150 instead of paying $4,000 for my taxes on my vehicle. And to me, heck, I would just do this on all my vehicles, not pay any of it, have them all registered somewhere else, just pay $150. So I think what we're doing here is creating I understand the concept is, hey, we'd rather get $150 than nothing, but we should be getting $3,000 or $4,000 instead of $150. And I'd like to know, is there a process that we go through? Am I missing something in the write-up of this, in my interpretation? Help me out here.
Yeah.
Okay. Delegate Bulova, do you have the answer, or do we look for DMV to?
Yeah, no, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that question. And so I guess the bottom line is these are the tools that we've granted localities in order to be able to enforce these situations. I do have a representative from the Commissioner of Revenues who'd be happy to go ahead and get into some of the more details.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Paige Johnson, Commissioner of Revenue for the City of Fairfax and representing the Commissioners of Revenue of Virginia. To answer Senator Stepp's question, someone who moves into the Commonwealth and initially, this is what's going to capture them for us. They're going to come to our attention with those plates. This will allow us to issue a license and a penalty associated with that. That doesn't necessarily stop the process. We will continue to determine whether they have established domicile in the Commonwealth of Virginia, meaning they own property or they've been here more than 180 days, at which time personal property would begin to be assessed.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you a question.
Certainly.
All right, I live in the Hampton Roads area, city of Chesapeake. All right, we border North Carolina on the way down to the Outer Banks. A lot of our folks in Chesapeake actually have places down in the Outer Banks from the Currituck Sound or Albemarle Sound. And they have cars with North Carolina license plates. So explain to me the scenario. They're down in the Outer Banks, they get an emergency phone call, they have to come back to their house and fly off someplace to take care of their sick mother. All right. That car, which has Carolina license plates, is parked at their house in Chesapeake, Virginia for 6 weeks. Are they going to get tagged with this?
That's a determination made by the individual Commissioner of Revenue. And in my locality, we would not probably make an assessment based on the criteria you just
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Senator Favola.
Thank you.
I think the clarity here, though, is the Commissioner of Revenue would have to follow the ordinance that's adopted by the locality.
No, that's exactly
Isn't
right.
that correct?
This is
So in the ordinance process, there is a public hearing, and stakeholders are usually pretty anxious and willing to give their comments and testimony. So it's the Commissioner of the Revenue is not going to be making willy-nilly decisions. There will be a very robust public hearing process before the locality adopts an ordinance.
Mr. Chair.
Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And that right now, the locality has that authority already. The only thing that this bill does, if I'm reading it correctly, is increase the maximum amount of the fine.
That's correct.
It doesn't, the decision to impose a fine, that policy decision has already been made by this General Assembly.
Correct.
This is only increasing the
Correct.
amount. Thank you.
That's the way I see it. Yes, Senator Newman.
I guess my question is does this section of the code also apply to college students?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're domiciled and your residence is in Virginia Beach, for example, and you're attending George Mason University, as the owners of those vehicles, you're assessed only in Virginia Beach.
Mr. Chairman, just to
Senator
make sure.
Newman,
So
follow-up.
what if you're from North Carolina?
If you're out of state, you're fair game.
Mr. Chairman.
If you're a college student in
The
another.
staff was next.
Excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'm going to go back to the underlying policy. So back to the underlying policy, it still says you can come after me once a year. Before you could assess me $250. Now you can assess me $350 if I drive a vehicle that's registered in a different state. The underlying policy is still, we're only getting $250 or $350 when we truly should be getting $3,000 or $4,000 on that vehicle. So I understand what we're trying to do here. I disagree with how we're handling it with college students from out of state. I do understand that military are exempt from this.
They are, indeed.
Which is a good thing. But the underlying policy is if I decide I want to keep my vehicle registered in Maryland or North Carolina so I don't have to pay Virginia taxes annually, I can stroke a check for today, $250, tomorrow, or if we pass this for $350, and I'm still making out. I mean, I'm making out like a bandit.
Senator Staff, so this is the current situation regardless of the increase in this penalty.
Understood completely, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, let me try and address.
Mr. Johnson, yes.
Let me try and address that situation. If we're going to make an assessment with the license fee with this legislation, if we make a further determination that these individuals are in fact now domiciled in Virginia, then we will assess for Virginia personal property in addition to this, which is a further inducement for them to register. And they have to by code, and this is out of my league, it's the vehicle code, they have to register and get Virginia license plates within 60 days of moving to Virginia. Okay. And we point all that out to them at that time.
Senator DeStaff, does that answer your question? I think this, if you have an issue there, that might be a bill for next year.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I understand what he's doing. I still have an issue on the college student side of it. I get it. I understand what he's trying to do. I fully understand it. I still do have an issue on the college student side of it. I understand we give an exemption for our military.
Yeah, that's of course existing policy. So,
Mr. Chairman. Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
Senator Servo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think Rouse is after me. I heard him over there. So
seniority, yes, sir.
Sorry. I remember when this bill got passed in 2013, I think Delegate Sickles carried it at the request of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors because there was a perceived epidemic of Maryland licensed cars in the county, and this $250 fine piece didn't exist at all before that.
Right.
It was a whole new program.
That's correct.
And so I'm trying to understand, we're now talking about raising from $250 to $350. Did the actual creation of this $250 fine actually change any behavior?
Well, I'm here before you. We're requesting this through Delegate Bulova. So, yeah, I think the answer is we need additional resources to help alleviate the situation.
So you're saying, Mr. Johnson, that the additional money would give additional leverage for people to comply?
Well, yes, it would be an inducement for them to register and comply with Virginia law. Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the committee on this bill? Anyone else here in? Senator Rouse. Oh, Senator Rouse, you have a question? Yes, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm good to go. Thank you.
You good to go? All right. Thank you very much. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in opposition to the bill? All right, the bill is before us.
I move that we report the bill.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to report the bill. Would you open the roll, please?
Ayes 6, noes 9.
Ayes 6, noes 9. Bill fails.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Sorry,
Chairman.
Delegate Bulova. All right, Delegate Cardoza. I'm sorry. Hold on one second.
All right.
Sorry. Yeah, we have to do that one, and we have to make changes to 16. Okay, that's it. Delegate Cardoza, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us about your bill.
My bill simply, Mr. Chair, it allows special license plates of a military nature to be transferred to unremarried surviving spouses of the veteran who has recently passed. It's fairly simple, and that's its purpose, just to allow them to keep the plate they already have and allow them to keep that memory of their deceased loved one.
All right, that's great. Any questions from the committee on this bill? Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of the bill? Anyone wish to speak in opposition to the bill? We have a motion to report. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second to report. Would you open the roll, please?
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. Great idea, Delegate Cardoza. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senators.
All right. We have, I believe, there was an identical bill that just needed some technical amendments. Senate Bill, or House Bill 1661, Delegate Wiley's bill. Council, would you report what those technical amendments are?
Mr. Chairman, on line 42, after the word purpose, it strikes or and inserts of. This is just a technical amendment to fix a typo.
Okay, we have that. Do we have a motion on the amendment?
So moved. I move that we
We have a
adopt
motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Oh, and now it's an identical bill. Could you open the roll, please? Or we have a excuse me. Do we have a motion to report? And have a second? Okay. Would you open the roll, please?
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. I think we are down to Delegate Sullivan's. Have we dealt with that? Oh, okay. There we go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Delegate Sullivan.
Nice to see
Tell
you.
us about 15, I believe it's 1587.
Yes, this is 1587, Mr. Chair. As we all know, signs and advertisements are prohibited within the limits of the right-of-way of a
Mr.
highway.
Chair, real quick.
Senator Suderline.
I think we already have done House Bill 2014. Is that correct?
Yeah. Is that you?
We passed it out.
All right, just wanted to make sure the patron was aware of that. Thank you.
Can be somewhere else. You want to do mine, Les?
All right. Okay, back to Delegate Sullivan. Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Mr. Chairman. 1587 has to do with signs and advertisements in roadways, state-maintained roadways. So we all know they're prohibited within the rights-of-way. But signs and rights-of-way continue to be a problem, and they create safety and safety problems and get in the way of road crews. So what Virginia Code already does in 33.2.1225 is authorize VDOT to work with localities to enforce the law. And this statute, existing statute, it authorizes the Commissioner of Highways to enter an agreement with Fairfax County for the purpose of clearing out our roadways in Fairfax. So it authorizes the local government to to use in doing this, employees, its own employees and others. And what it has done in the past, Fairfax has used what's called the community labor force, which is essentially incarcerated individuals or people on probation who have been well screened, and they go out and they remove those signs. Earlier this year, the police department the sheriff's department, I guess, notified the county that they could no longer do that. They just don't have the capacity to do it. So all this bill does is add the word contractor to the list of entities that Fairfax can contract with to accomplish this work. Will not cost. It's not a cost to the state of anything, of any amount at all. So it simply gives Fairfax another option to remove signs and advertisements from the medians in the state roads.
Okay, so this is just adding, they already have agreements like this with other jurisdictions?
That I don't know. This is a statute that's specific to Fairfax County. It already exists as a specific Fairfax statute.
And Council, this is not special legislation?
Unless we change planning district 8.
Mr. Chair, while they're looking at
Delegate Sullivan.
You didn't ask me. The bill itself may have been when it was first passed, but it wouldn't be my view. You haven't asked my view, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. That amending it wouldn't rise to the level of special legislation.
Yeah,
you are a fine lawyer. Yes, Senator DeSteph.
I might be able to help this along a little bit. There's a lot of jurisdictions today that contract out to do this, and I mean, I think it's a wonderful idea, and it helps from a labor standpoint within the counties to utilize that labor somewhere else. I actually think this is a good idea doing this, and I don't want to waste a lot of your time on this, but I don't think even if it was special legislation that there'd be any issues with this one.
Oh,
Mr. Chair.
Senator Boysko.
Thank you. I would like to add my support. I get constituent calls all the time about road signs in the middle of the median. Having more people who could help clean them up would be a big benefit. I think it's a great bill.
Okay, Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you. This is actually a question for Senator Boysko. Senator Boysko, this bill is for Fairfax County. You represent Prince William and Loudoun.
No,
correct?
sir.
No, you don't? Just Fairfax County?
Mr. Chair, I represent parts of Loudoun and parts of Fairfax County.
Okay. The reason I ask is, would this be better to make this Planning District 8 instead of Fairfax County? I mean, seriously, I mean, if it's an issue in one, and Fairfax County and Alexandria and Arlington, they're so similar, you can't tell when you leave one and go into the other.
John, it's the other Virginia.
Okay. Delegate Sullivan, what do you?
My understanding, and I don't know if anyone from Fairfax is here, great, is I frankly don't know what the rules are with respect to Loudoun or Prince William or anything like that, but this bill, the statute already exists, it's specific to Fairfax.
Okay.
That might be a good idea, but that's not what I was hoping.
Senator Favola.
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to say, it's just optional, right? I mean,
Yes.
They can hire contractors, but they don't have to. So it's just expanding an option here. So there's absolutely no problem with this.
Mr.
Second.
Chair.
Okay, one moment. Shh, 1 moment, please. Order. VDOT, Joanne, any comments you want to make?
Mr. Chair, VDOT does not have a position on this bill. I would note that, as Delegate Sullivan has noted, there is currently a specific statute that addresses these agreements for Fairfax. Then there's another statute in the code that addresses other localities generally. So this bill is not creating any new situation for Fairfax per se. It's just allowing them to add contractors to the work.
Okay, very good.
Workers that are
All right. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak for or against the bill?
Move to report.
Hold on. We have.
Noel Dominguez with Fairfax County. We just want to thank the patron for introducing this bill on behalf of the county, and I'm here if anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second to report. Would you open the roll, please?
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. Your bill reports.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Delegate Sickles. $22.54 highway use fee reimbursement.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about your bill.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is a simple bill. It's on line 38 to 40. I had a constituent who was charged for the fee that you get charged when you have an electric vehicle or a vehicle that gets high gas mileage to replace what they would pay in taxes and with they were buying lots of gas. But the car was a Honda van, an Odyssey van, did not qualify. So she appealed it to DMV. This can't be right. and there was no appeal process at all for being charged unfairly. There was no, the other people have said that there's an informal process, they'll give your money back, but I have an email from Vivian Cheatham saying, we don't have a process to give you your money back when you're unfairly charged. So that's all this does.
And if Vivian Cheatham says it,
I mean, you know,
that's
so
the
anyway,
truth.
that's all it is so to give a person who's charged erroneously a chance to have a way to appeal the decision.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, on behalf of Odyssey owners everywhere, I move to report.
I'm sorry, is there, hold on let's slow the train down for just a second. Is anyone from Division of Motor Vehicles here, Department of Motor Vehicles? Here we go.
Afternoon, Mr. Chair. Melanie Lester, Department of Motor Vehicles.
And what is your take on the problem that Senator Sickles or Delegate Sickles is trying to solve?
We do have an informal process to have constituents be able to get a refund if they feel that they were improperly assessed.
And is that publicly noted? Is it recorded anywhere where people would know that exists, that it exists?
Not at this point.
What's that?
Not at this point.
Not at?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Right.
Okay, there you go. Well, thank you very much for clarifying that. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor or in opposition to the bill?
This is my biggest bill in the session.
This is we have a motion and a second to report the bill. Would you open the roll, please? All right.
I thank the
Delegate
committee.
Sickles, you are out of here. Did we do 1661?
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. The bill reports. Did we do 1661? Yes, sir. Does that complete the docket? Well, all right. We'll meet again here next week. We got in an hour and 5 minutes. Not too bad. Thank you all very much. We'll see you next week. Committees adjourned.